The stars stretched endlessly before Captain Adrian Hale as he guided the small human ship through the orbit of Erendor, the alien empire's capital planet. The planet was massive, its surface glowing with golden lights that flickered like living fire. From space, it looked like a city of constellations, a civilization far more advanced than anything humanity had ever known. Yet, for Adrian, the beauty could not hide the danger. "Captain, sensors are picking up unusual energy readings," said Lieutenant Mara, his communications officer, her voice steady but tinged with concern. Adrian frowned, adjusting the ship's trajectory. "Show me." On the main display, a massive capital ship hovered close to Erendor, its sleek lines cutting through the void. It was alien, far larger than any human vessel, bristling with strange devices Adrian had never seen. "That's impressive," Mara whispered. "Do you think they've noticed us yet?" Adrian shook his head. "Hopefully not. Remember, we're here as explorers, observation only. Keep scans on high alert." He leaned back in his chair, eyes sharp. Despite the human pride he felt in his team, there was a weight in his chest. The aliens had already underestimated humanity, and he did not want to give them a reason to distrust them further. The team aboard the human ship was small but capable. Adrian had handpicked every member, each of them skilled in navigation, science, or combat. They had trained for this mission for months, preparing for every possible scenario. Yet, nothing in training had prepared them for the strange grandeur of Erendor. Suddenly, alarms blared. The capital ship ahead began to move, closing in on them faster than expected. Adrian's heart pounded. "All stations report." Mara's fingers flew across the console. "It's moving toward us, Captain, not hostile yet, but energy readings indicate a shield is forming." Adrian took a deep breath. "Keep calm, we are guests. Do not provoke them. Maintain course and open communications. Let's show them humanity is predictable in a good way." Before Mara could respond, a burst of light erupted from the alien ship. A warning beam struck near the human vessel, sending it spinning. The alarms grew louder. Adrian gritted his teeth. Evasive maneuvers, divert all power to shields. The ship rocked violently, throwing Mara against her console. Adrian fought to regain control, his hands steady despite the chaos. Then, a sudden transmission broke through their systems. It was a voice, clear, melodic, and alien, but its tone carried authority. "Human vessel," the voice said, echoing in their minds more than through sound. "You are entering restricted territory. Identify yourself." Adrian straightened. "This is Captain Adrian Hale of Earth. We come in peace. We are explorers seeking knowledge and friendship." There was silence for a moment, then the voice spoke again, more curious than angry. "Proceed slowly. We will observe." Adrian exhaled. "Understood. Slow approach. Keep scanning." As they drew closer, the interior of the alien ship revealed a vast, open space filled with hovering platforms and beings unlike anything humans had imagined. They were tall, with luminous skin that shimmered like liquid metal and eyes that glowed faintly. Each movement was precise, almost ceremonial. But one figure stood out, an alien princess, seated on a raised platform, watching them. Her expression was sharp yet curious, and there was something in her gaze that made Adrian feel as though she could see into his soul. "She's beautiful," Mara whispered. Adrian ignored the comment. Focus mattered now. The ship's docking bay opened, a massive circular door sliding with mechanical precision. Adrian guided the human vessel inside, feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes upon them. Every human in the crew stiffened. The Erendor were judging, not just their ship, but the very species it carried. Then, without warning, alarms blared again, but this time from inside the alien ship. A group of intruders, space raiders, had somehow breached the Erendor defenses. They were small, fast, and brutal, with weapons designed to tear through shields like paper. Chaos erupted. The alien guards struggled to repel the raiders. Adrian instinctively stood. "Mara, suit up. Everyone follow my lead." The human crew hesitated. They were explorers, not soldiers, yet Adrian's calm courage inspired them. Within moments, they had armed themselves and moved into the fray. In the middle of the chaos, the princess cried out. Adrian turned to see her platform under attack. Raiders had cornered her, weapons raised. Without thinking, he dashed forward, weaving through fire and debris. One of the raiders swung a plasma blade toward him, but Adrian dove, rolling across the metallic floor, his body hitting the ground hard. Pain shot through his side, but he ignored it. The princess was trapped beneath falling debris. Adrian pushed a heavy beam off her using every ounce of strength he had. He grabbed her hand, helping her to stand. "Stay close," he said, his voice steady even as his lungs burned. The raiders advanced again. Adrian drew a sidearm and fired, taking precise shots that staggered them. His crew joined in, using quick thinking and agility rather than raw power. Together, humans and aliens began to push the raiders back. One raider threw a grenade. Adrian yelled, throwing himself over the princess to shield her. The explosion rocked them both. He was thrown across the floor, and pain flared through his body like fire. Blood trickled down his forehead, but he smiled faintly, seeing the princess safe. The alien guards finally overwhelmed the raiders, capturing the survivors. The ship fell silent, save for the groans of the injured. Adrian struggled to his knees, breathing heavily. The princess looked at him, her luminous eyes wide. "You risked your life for me," she said, her voice soft but clear. "Why?" Adrian forced a smile. "Because it was the right thing to do. No one should die when they can be saved." For a moment there was silence. Then she spoke again, almost to herself. "Humans, perhaps they are not as fragile as we believed." Adrian's vision blurred. He could feel himself fading, but he reached out. "Trust, your people and humans can do more than you think." The princess held his hand as the world grew dark around him. Even in that moment of near death, Adrian knew something had changed. Humanity had earned the respect of a civilization that had once considered them weak. The next moments were hazy. Adrian was carried to a medical bay, tended by alien doctors who moved with precision and care. The pain was intense, but the pride he felt was stronger. He had acted not for glory, but because humans did not hesitate when it mattered. Princess Liara stayed by his side, watching over him. Her curiosity had grown into respect, and perhaps something more, a bond that no cultural barrier could erase. As Adrian drifted in and out of consciousness, he heard her whisper, "Human hero, you will be remembered." And somewhere deep inside, he smiled, knowing that humanity had taken its first true step into the galaxy, not as weak observers, but as brave, selfless beings capable of changing the course of an empire. The stars outside the Urandor ship glimmered like promises, and for the first time, Adrian felt certain. Humans had a place among them, and one day the galaxy would know the name of the man who fell saving an alien princess. The corridors of the Urandor capital ship were alive with whispers. Word of the human captain who risked his life to save Princess Liara had spread quickly. Every alien he passed gave him looks of amazement, curiosity, or outright disbelief. Humans were supposed to be fragile, weak, and naive. Adrian Hale had shattered that image in a single act, but the applause and admiration meant little to Adrian. Lying on a medical bed, his body battered and bruised, he only focused on breathing and the rhythm of his heartbeat. The alien doctors worked efficiently, their hands moving over him like water over stone, mending fractures, cauterizing wounds, and monitoring his vital signs with instruments he could barely understand. Princess Liara did not leave his side. She sat quietly, her glowing eyes studying him as if she were trying to memorize every scar, every line on his face. "You will recover," she said softly. "Humans are stronger than I thought." Adrian managed a weak smile. "It's not strength that matters, Princess. It's courage and doing what's right when no one else can." Liara's expression softened. She had been raised in a palace where rules dictated every action, and emotions were often hidden beneath a veneer of composure. Yet here a human had acted without fear, without calculation, and had saved her life. It was something her empire had rarely, if ever, seen. Meanwhile, outside the medical bay, Urandor's council convened. The incident had shaken their perception of humans. Some council members saw them as fragile creatures to be ignored, but others recognized a unique potential. A human who could think, act, and sacrifice for the greater good might be a valuable ally, or a dangerous one if underestimated. Counselor Turin, a stern figure with shimmering silver skin, spoke first. The human saved the princess. One act of recklessness, some may say, but it also demonstrated qualities our species has not observed before: initiative, bravery, selflessness. Another counselor scoffed. Selflessness is overrated. The human may have succeeded once, but can he be trusted? We know little of their motivations. Liara raised her hand, silencing the room. He acted without hesitation. Humans do not think like us. They are unpredictable but not weak. I propose we keep him under observation, learn what makes his species remarkable. The debate continued late into the alien night, but one thing was certain: humans had left a mark. They were no longer mere curiosities. They were beings whose courage could not be ignored. Back in the medical bay, Adrian woke to find Liara still beside him. "You've been asleep for hours," she said. "You worried us all." Adrian groaned, attempting to sit up, only to be pushed gently back down. "I'll live," he said, his voice hoarse. "I always do." Liara studied him closely. "And yet humans are supposed to be fragile," Adrian chuckled weakly. "Fragile, maybe in the wrong hands, but we adapt, we survive, we fight when it matters most." Her eyes glimmered with newfound respect. "Perhaps your species deserves more recognition than we gave you." Days passed, and Adrian's recovery was slow but steady. Despite the physical pain, his mind remained sharp, constantly analyzing the alien ship, the princess, and the potential threats that lingered in the galaxy. He spent hours speaking with Liara about Earth, humanity, and their struggles and triumphs. He spoke of the great oceans, mountains, and deserts, of cities that never slept, and people who could rise from any disaster. Liara listened, fascinated. For the first time, an alien of her status was genuinely curious about human culture, not for political gain, but for understanding. "You speak of your people with pride," Liara said, "and yet you risked your life for me without hesitation." "Humans, you are capable of great deeds," Adrian smiled faintly. "Sometimes the right thing is worth the risk. That's what makes us human." Meanwhile, political tensions began to rise. Not everyone in the Urandor Empire welcomed humans with admiration. Some saw Adrian's heroism as a threat to their authority. If humans were as courageous and selfless as they seemed, could they not disrupt the rigid hierarchy of Urandor? Could they influence decisions, inspire rebellion, or sway the populace? Counselor Turin warned, "Your Highness, while humans have shown bravery, they are unpredictable. We must not allow their actions to undermine our control." Liara replied firmly, "We do not fear them, we observe them. Let their deeds speak for themselves." If humanity earns respect, it will be through action, not fear. The council remained divided, and whispers of skepticism and intrigue filled the halls, but the humans were already making their mark. Stories of Adrian's courage spread beyond the ship and into the cities of Urandor. Citizens who had only heard rumors of fragile humans began to see them in a new light: beings capable of thinking creatively, acting decisively, and putting others above themselves. Weeks later, Adrian, now partially recovered, was allowed to walk among the alien corridors. He marveled at the technology around him: floating transport platforms, devices that manipulated gravity, and machines that could heal with the precision of a surgeon's hand. But he noticed something else. The aliens had become cautious, observing his every move. It was not fear but curiosity, a recognition that humans might act in ways they could not predict. As he walked, he overheard whispers. The human, he is different. Every action reinforced a simple truth. Humans were more than fragile creatures. They were clever, resilient, and full of spirit. But admiration alone could not shield them from danger. A distant threat loomed. Unbeknownst to most, a coalition of hostile alien races had learned of Erendor's reliance on humans and viewed them as weak points to exploit. These warlike species believed they could conquer the Empire while underestimating human ingenuity. Liara, aware of the impending danger, began discussing defense strategies with Adrian. Despite his injuries, he listened carefully, analyzing weaknesses and suggesting unconventional tactics that the aliens had never considered. "Your species thinks differently," Liara observed. "You are unpredictable in ways that can be useful," Adrian nodded. "Sometimes the unexpected is the strongest weapon." Together, they worked on small exercises, testing ship defenses, simulating attacks, and brainstorming strategies. Humans relied on creativity, improvisation, and teamwork rather than brute strength or rigid procedure. The aliens observed, learning that sometimes a flexible mind could achieve what massive technology alone could not. One evening, as the twin moons of Erendor cast silver light across the city below, Adrian walked with Liara on a balcony overlooking the glowing skyline. "You are different from any being I have ever known," she said quietly. "Humans, you see the world in ways we cannot. You take risks, make sacrifices, you inspire." Adrian smiled faintly. "We have to. The universe is not kind. We survive by helping each other, by taking chances when it matters most." Liara turned to him, her expression serious. "Your actions, they will be remembered, Captain Hale, not just by my people but by the entire Empire. You have set a precedent. Humans may no longer be seen as fragile. You have begun a legacy." Adrian felt a warmth in his chest. He had acted out of instinct, not ambition, yet here he was changing perceptions across an entire civilization. A sudden alert interrupted their conversation. The ship's sensors detected unusual activity on the outskirts of the Empire. Unknown vessels were approaching, fast, armed, and hostile. The humans and Erendor would soon face a test far greater than anything they had encountered. Adrian's heart raced. This was only the beginning. If the human spirit could shine in the face of danger, then perhaps they could inspire the galaxy in ways no one expected. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your courage, it gives me hope. Whatever comes, we will face it together." Adrian nodded. "Then let's show them what humanity is truly capable of." As the distant stars glimmered against the black of space, the human captain and the alien princess stood together, united not by blood or planet, but by courage, trust, and a shared vision. That even the smallest, most underestimated species could rise to greatness. The calm that had settled over the Erendor capital ship was broken in an instant. Alarms blared, red lights strobed across the walls, and a deep, shaking hum reverberated through the corridors. "Unknown vessels detected at the outer perimeter," shouted the sensor officer. "They are fast, heavily armed, and advancing toward the capital." Adrian Hale was already on his feet, despite lingering pain from his previous injuries. His muscles ached, his ribs throbbed, but adrenaline surged through him, sharpening his mind. He had faced danger before, but this was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. An entire fleet of hostile aliens, underestimated by both Erendor and Earth, intent on conquest. Princess Liara appeared beside him, her expression grave. "Captain Hale, they are stronger than anything we've faced. Our fleet alone may not hold them off." Adrian clenched his fists. "Then we'll have to be smarter, faster, more unpredictable." The aliens in the control room looked at him skeptically. Humans were smaller, weaker, and unarmed in the ways of war. Yet time and again, Adrian had shown courage, quick thinking, and selflessness. If anyone could provide a strategy the enemy wouldn't anticipate, it was him. He turned to the gathered officers. Listen carefully. They expect us to respond with brute force. They will focus on our largest ships, but we can use their assumptions against them. Small, fast strikes, diversions, traps. We can make them fight on our terms. The alien officers exchanged uneasy glances. One whispered to another, "The human, he is not afraid. Perhaps there is merit in his plan." Adrian wasted no time. He moved among the crew, giving orders, adjusting the ship's defenses, and coordinating with smaller patrol vessels. Every move was calculated to maximize speed, agility, and unpredictability. Humans were known for improvisation, and he intended to use it to full effect. The first wave of enemy ships arrived just as the twin moons cast silver light across the capital planet. Beams of energy tore through space, striking Erendor ships and scattering debris across the void. The aliens had never seen attacks executed with such precision and suddenness. The enemy exploited every weakness, testing the limits of their shields and weapons. Adrian's plan began to take shape. He led a small squadron of human and alien pilots in daring maneuvers, diving between enemy ships, luring them into traps, and using the capital ship's gravity manipulation engines to pull raiders into collisions. Humans moved quickly, thinking in ways the aliens could not predict, improvising with weapons and devices in real time. One enemy ship fired a massive energy cannon at the capital vessel. Without hesitation, Adrian shouted, "Use the decoy drones. Split the energy field." The alien crew, initially confused, followed his orders. The cannon misfired, missing the main ship entirely, and several raiders collided with each other, destroying their own formation. Princess Liara watched from the observation deck, awe shining in her eyes. "He is remarkable," she whispered. "Not just brave, but a mind like no other. Humans, they think differently." Hours passed and the battle raged on. Adrian, despite his injuries, refused to rest. He moved from station to station, adjusting defenses, giving instructions, and personally piloting small fighter craft into the thick of combat. Every action was decisive, every choice calculated, yet performed with instinctive bravery that inspired both humans and aliens alike. At one point, a massive raider ship broke through the perimeter defenses, heading straight for the princess's platform. Without hesitation, Adrian grabbed a small fighter and soared into the enemy ship's path. Lasers streaked across the void, and he maneuvered through impossible angles, dodging attacks while drawing the ship away from the capital. Inside the enemy vessel, he used his knowledge of human tactics and quick thinking to sabotage the controls. Panels that seemed unintelligible to aliens suddenly became tools he could manipulate. Lights flashed, engines sparked, and finally the raider ship spun out of control, crashing into a nearby asteroid field. The alien crew cheered, some even bowing in respect. Humans, though few in number, had shown that courage combined with intelligence could change the tide of battle. Adrian's presence on the front lines was not reckless, it was decisive. Meanwhile, Princess Liara coordinated her forces, inspired by the human captain's strategy. She saw how humans could act without hesitation, taking risks that seemed impossible to the Erendor elite. Their willingness to improvise, to sacrifice, and to think beyond convention became the cornerstone of the Empire's resistance. Yet the enemy was relentless. They adapted quickly, sending stealth units and ambush squads. Adrian anticipated them, setting traps that lured these units into vulnerable positions. He taught alien crews how to exploit weaknesses in their own technology, mixing human creativity with alien precision. During a particularly tense moment, one of the enemy raiders breached the medical bay where Adrian had recovered just days ago. He led a small team to intercept it, knowing that if the raider reached the princess, the entire battle could be lost. The skirmish was brutal. Adrian fought fiercely, using both human ingenuity and alien weaponry. He moved with speed and precision, dodging energy blasts and countering with accurate strikes. He saved Liara once again, this time in the heat of full-scale war, and personally ensured the raider was neutralized. The princess looked at him, her eyes wide. "You risk your life again." "Why?" Adrian, breathing heavily, replied. "Because someone has to. That's what humans do. When it matters, we don't hesitate." Liara's admiration deepened. She saw more than bravery. She saw humanity's essence: selflessness, ingenuity, and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The battle reached its climax when the enemy fleet concentrated on the central command hub of the capital ship. Explosions shook the decks, and several alien ships were destroyed in rapid succession. Adrian realized that a decisive move was required, something bold, risky, and unexpected. He gathered his small team. "We need to strike at the heart of their command. It's the only way to turn this fight around. I'll lead, but we all move together. Trust your instincts and trust each other." The team nodded, understanding that this was more than strategy. It was survival, and the legacy of humanity was at stake. They piloted small craft through a storm of fire and debris, weaving between enemy fire with skill and instinct. Adrian's mind raced. He recalled human tactics from centuries past, strategies that had relied on cunning, deception, and courage. He adapted them to the alien battlefield, exploiting weaknesses that the enemy never expected. With precision, he guided his team to the enemy command ship. They deployed explosives, sabotaged their engines, and created chaos in the enemy formation. The alien fleet, caught off guard by the ingenuity of humans, began to falter. One by one, their ships were disabled, captured, or destroyed. When the dust settled, the battlefield was quiet. Erendor's capital ship remained intact, though scarred from the intense engagement. The enemy had retreated, defeated not by numbers or technology alone, but by courage, strategy, and the unpredictable brilliance of humans. Adrian collapsed, exhausted but alive. Every bone in his body ached and every breath burned, yet he smiled faintly. Humans had proven their worth, not just to the aliens but to the universe. Princess Liara rushed to his side, helping him to sit. "Captain Hale, you have done the impossible. You saved my people and perhaps the entire empire." Adrian shook his head weakly. "Not alone. Humans, they can do great things, but teamwork and trust, that's what matters most." Liara's gaze softened, a rare expression of emotion breaking through her usual composure. "You are more than a hero. You are a symbol. My people will never forget what you have done. Your name will be remembered forever." Adrian smiled faintly, knowing that even in exhaustion and pain, his actions had changed the course of history. He had fallen into danger again, but humanity had risen, inspiring an empire and proving its value on a galactic stage. As the twin moons shone over Erendor, the princess looked toward the stars. "Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated humans, but no longer. They are capable of courage beyond measure." Adrian, leaning back against the railing, whispered to himself, "It's only the beginning." And in that moment, the seeds of a legend were planted. A human who fought bravely, sacrificed himself without hesitation, and earned a place in the hearts of an alien empire. Humanity had turned the tide, and the galaxy would soon know the full extent of their courage. The stars above Erendor's capital shone like frozen diamonds, but below them, the city bore the scars of the recent invasion. Fires still burned in some districts, and smoke rose from the wreckage of fallen ships. The alien empire had survived, but at a cost. Yet in the midst of devastation, a new hope had arisen, a hope fueled by the courage of one human being. Captain Adrian Hale stood on the bridge of the capital ship, weakened by the injuries he had sustained throughout the battle. His body ached, each movement sending jolts of pain through his ribs and limbs. Yet, his mind remained sharp, focused on the enemy fleet retreating into the darkness of space. Humanity had proven its worth in combat, and the galaxy had witnessed what humans could accomplish when pushed to their limits. Princess Liara approached him, her luminous eyes reflecting both concern and admiration. "Captain Hale, you have done more than I ever imagined. Erendor owes its survival to your courage and brilliance." Adrian shook his head, faintly smiling despite his exhaustion. "I did what any human would do, protect those who cannot protect themselves. That's who we are." Liara studied him carefully. She could see the toll the battle had taken, yet she also recognized something extraordinary: his unwavering spirit, his refusal to give in to fear or pain. "And yet, your actions, they have changed the way my people see humans forever." Adrian felt a swell of pride, but he knew that the battle was not over. Though the main enemy fleet had retreated, there were still pockets of raiders scattered across Erendor space. Any misstep could allow them to regroup, strike again, and undo everything they had fought for. For days, Adrian coordinated counterattacks, directing small teams of humans and aliens to hunt down the remaining raiders. His strategies were daring, even reckless, but they worked. The alien officers began to follow his lead, realizing that human creativity and intuition could accomplish what sheer numbers could not. One night during a reconnaissance mission, Adrian and a team of human pilots discovered a hidden fleet of raiders preparing for a final assault. It was a trap, carefully concealed, and far larger than anyone had anticipated. Adrian realized immediately that the only way to stop them was to strike first, and he knew it would cost him dearly. "Listen carefully," he said to his team, his voice steady despite the exhaustion etched into his face. "We have one chance. We hit their command ship directly. If we succeed, the rest of their fleet will collapse, but we may not make it out alive. Do you understand?" The humans nodded, resolute. They trusted Adrian completely. Their courage was unwavering, even in the face of almost certain death. Liara arrived in a small fighter alongside them. "Captain Hale, I will not let you face this alone," she said. "Together we can end this threat." Adrian looked at her, admiration and gratitude in his eyes. "Then let's finish this, for Erendor and for humanity." The attack was swift and intense. Adrian led the charge, weaving through enemy fire with precision and daring that left the alien pilots in awe. Human instincts, honed through years of survival and ingenuity, guided their every move. They reached the enemy command ship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons. Adrian's team launched explosives, sabotaged their engines, and created chaos within the enemy ranks. The ship shuddered violently, and energy blasts erupted in all directions. But the enemy had anticipated the strike. A countermeasure activated, targeting Adrian's ship directly. He realized immediately that he could not escape. The only way to ensure the enemy's destruction and the safety of Erendor was to guide his ship into the heart of the command vessel. "Princess Liara, get out of here," he shouted over comms. "I'll handle this." Liara's voice trembled, but she trusted him. "No, Adrian. There has to be another way." "There is," he replied, determination blazing in his eyes. "Do not hesitate. Lead your people, protect the Empire. That is what matters." With that, Adrian piloted his ship straight into the command vessel. The explosion rocked the battlefield, sending shockwaves through the remaining raider fleet. Ships collided, energy cores detonated, and the enemy's forces disintegrated. The battle was won, but Adrian's sacrifice was complete. Back on the capital ship, Liara watched the aftermath with tears in her eyes. Adrian had fallen, but his actions had ensured the survival of an entire empire. The aliens, who had once viewed humans as fragile and insignificant, now understood the true depth of human courage and ingenuity. Counselor Turin, who had once doubted humanity, bowed deeply. "Your Highness, the human captain has changed everything. His name, it must be honored." Liara nodded, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and resolve. "Captain Adrian Hale will be remembered, Across Erendor, his deeds will inspire generations. Humanity, your people will never be underestimated again. The Empire declared a day of remembrance. Monuments were built, songs were composed, and stories were told of the human who had fallen to save a princess, and in doing so, saved the Empire itself. The citizens of Erendor came to understand the values humans carried: courage, selflessness, and the willingness to face impossible odds for the greater good. On Earth, news of the humans' deeds reached government officials and citizens alike. Though the details were sparse, the essence was clear. Humanity had faced a galaxy far more dangerous than themselves and had emerged as heroes. Stories of Adrian Hale's bravery circulated, inspiring young humans to believe in their potential and reminding them that even a single individual could change the course of history. Princess Liara visited Earth months later, forging diplomatic relations and ensuring that humans would be welcomed as equals in the galactic community. She spoke of Adrian's sacrifice, of the courage that humans displayed, and of the bond formed between their peoples. "Your species is extraordinary," she told the assembled leaders and citizens. "Captain Adrian Hale showed us what it means to be brave, to be selfless, and to act when others hesitate. His name will be hallowed for eternity, a reminder that even the smallest beings can leave the largest mark on the universe." The monuments on Erendor were grand, depicting Adrian Hale in mid-action, saving Princess Liara, standing tall against impossible odds. Statues, plaques, and digital records immortalized his deeds. Songs were sung, and plays performed, each retelling highlighting the courage and ingenuity of humanity. But perhaps the most meaningful tribute came from Liara herself. She stood before a crowd of thousands, her luminous eyes scanning the faces of both humans and aliens. "We will remember him not because he fell, but because he rose above fear, doubt, and impossibility. Captain Adrian Hale embodied the best of humanity. His name will be honored across generations, across planets, and across the stars." The crowd erupted in cheers, tears, and applause. Humans had earned their place among the stars, not through conquest or force, but through bravery, intelligence, and selflessness. Years later, historians and storytellers continued to recount the tale of the human who saved an alien princess, a tale that inspired millions across the galaxy. Children grew up learning about the value of courage, teamwork, and sacrifice. Humans became respected allies, and their actions set a new standard for what it meant to be brave. On Erendor, every year, a day of remembrance honored Adrian Hale. His name was spoken with reverence. His story reminded every citizen, human or alien, that true strength came not from size, wealth, or technology, but from the courage to act when it mattered most. And somewhere in the endless expanse of stars, Adrian Hale's spirit endured, a symbol of humanity's potential. The human who had fallen for the sake of others had risen in legend, and in doing so, ensured that his name, and the values he embodied, would be forever hallowed.